Jambo mambo familia angu. Karibu. Habari gani? Mimi ni Eli-Ben-Eli. And I'm hoping that all of you are having a pleasant weekend. I hope that all of you are having a pleasant week. You know, I am in a very strange position at the moment. By the grace of Allah, my house is warm, but it is very, very cold outside, and gradually it's getting a little colder in here. You know, it's been fairly warm up until now, but it's still a lot warmer than it is outside. You know, Texas is a very strange place. You know, we have warm weather most of the year, but then maybe for about 2 or 3 weeks of the year we have very cold weather. This is the period of time that we are in. It might last roughly a month. From now until, let's say, a month and a half. From now until, let's say, the end of February, the weather will probably be cold. It'll start warming up at the end of February. You know, this morning I was watching a video. It's Gintu, I believe the channel is called, and it was about Marwa, and you know, they were preparing yamachoa, ugali, and to the best of my knowledge, I don't think that there was any sort of sumawiki, but you know, I was looking at all of that, and I was saying to myself, you know something, I wonder how many of the people who donated goats and donated chickens and other things are eating as well as those people are eating. You know, the party has been over for how many months? The grand party, the party to beat old party, the party of the epoch, the party of the century, the party of the millennium, in which Marwa was installed as a great Punjab, and the ruler, King Lord of Nabohan said, he who walks with his head held high in the clouds. You know, the party has long been over, and by the way, let us hasten to say that the party was indeed a flop. But the party has long been over, and still these people continue feasting and slaughtering goats and everything. And by the way, there was a lot of talk about how many of the goats have been stolen. It turns out to be a lie. There are plenty of goats on that, you know, on that land, and there are plenty of cattle. I think Marwa at this point has his hands on an excellent potential herd of animals. But I don't know. It seems to me that an injustice has been done. This is a time of hunger, you know, in that part of the world. Even though a lot of people are doing their harvesting, you know, it's an unusually wet year, and some of the crops cannot be adequately harvested. Some of the crops are spoiling in the field, you know, and I was watching a video in which the boy was cooking for men who were digging a water hole for him, a borehole for him. And what he was feeding them, you know, was leftover rice. And they were very happily eating that leftover rice. You know, it's like, these are not good times for the people of that part of the world. Okay, and I think that it's unconscionable that, you know, Marwa doesn't seem to think that he's obligated to give back from those who have been so generous to him. You know, it's like, I would have assumed that the little clinic that he had there during the party would have become like a weekly clinic or a monthly clinic or something by way of helping that community, but no way. Anyway, my friends, I will continue to ask, you know, people to like and subscribe. I've been told by some people, why don't you just go ahead and, you know, don't worry about how you get your subscribers. try to get some subscribers by any means necessary. Let me explain something to you people about who you're dealing with. Okay, because I want you to understand exactly who I am. I had an operation on my eyes a few years ago, because I was suffering from a condition of the eyes, and it was resolved. But part of what the doctors discovered in doing that surgery was that there's a possibility that I could go blind very soon. And they have told me to wear these glasses, yet it embarrasses me to wear glasses because so many people wear glasses to just show off. And I don't want to be classed among those people, but lately my eyes have been giving me a lot of trouble. And the doctor who did the operation on my eyes, on both of my eyes, told me, Mr. Belisario, it would be so much easier for you, and it would make your eyes a lot healthier if you used an herbal medication that's illegal in this country, in this state. Some states have legalized it, some haven't. And people, a lot of my friends are telling me, well, you respect the law and everything, but why don't you go ahead and do what you have to do to protect your eyes? But, it's like, for me, I have to respect the law. It's not a matter of just respecting the law when it is convenient for me to respect the law. And I'm not in a position in which I can travel out of state and use that herbal medication outside of the state. So I just have to pray and trust in Allah and hope that my eyes remain healthy. But I don't know. I'm at a point in which I'm beginning to always be in acceptance of something. There are people in this life who are blessed in certain ways. Okay, it's like I knew people when I was in school who never had to struggle a day in their life. They were born into wealthy families, and they had all the wealth that they could possibly imagine, ever needing, more than they could imagine needing. And then there were us who had to struggle and fight and struggle just to be able to complete school. We had to go hungry. We had to do all kinds of things, and I don't know. I'm beginning to realize that Facebook is not any different. A few years ago, there was a young lady who happened to be black, by the way. A young lady who started a YouTube channel, and in less than a month, and this, let me stop and say this. This wasn't a celebrity or anybody important. This was just an ordinary human being like the rest of us. In less than a month, she had 3 million subscribers. And I don't even, now, she posts a video every now and then, but she doesn't really care. Every now and then she'll post a video, but she made so much money from her channel that she bought land, bought a camper, bought all kinds of things. But even now, every now and then she posts a video, and that's about it. And months can go by and she posts nothing, and I don't know. Some people are blessed to where anything that they try, Allah blesses them and gives them everything that they can possibly want and more. And then there are those of us who struggle and struggle and struggle, and sometimes it seems that our struggles are a waste of time. It's like, sometimes it seems like if our struggles are a waste of time, but I don't know. At the end, At the end, my philosophy is that, you don't just do. Let me tell you something about those kind of people. When I was in college, I ended up losing my. Well, I was put out of my home by my family. I wasn't. They would tell me that I wasn't a part of that family. So, first year in college, they asked me to leave and find my own home, and I left. And I remember I ended up living in the YMCA, which is a Christian organization which has a gymnasium and rents out rooms to men. And I'll tell you the truth, I lived the first few months there, it was not so good. But when they saw that I was a very serious young man, at the time I was like 17, they gave me one of the biggest rooms in the place. And every day I had a maid come and clean my room, change my sheets, bring me fresh towels, or, vacuum the floor. It was a very good arrangement for me. But it still was something that I had to pay by the week. It wasn't really like a home for myself. But I don't know. I saw something then. I remember I used to buy clothing at what is called in America an army surplus store. And, some of these are clothes that the army had too much of for soldiers, and so you can buy T-shirts and slacks that don't look like military wear, but they are. And you dress that way, and it's an inexpensive way of dressing. That's how I dressed for most of the time that I was in college, or at least the first few years of college. And there were a lot of people at that school whose mother and father had bought them a new car, new clothes. They had brand new shoes. They looked so well dressed, and oh my Lord, and me, I was dressing out of clothes that discarded military clothes. But I'll tell you something very strange that happened. A lot of those people whose parents were providing them with everything, they were in school and they were partying all the time, partying, getting drunk, doing this and doing that. Me, I was working. I had to find a job. Nobody was supporting me. I was working full time, and I was a full-time student. And I was very, very lucky because I lived in a city that allowed you to go to university very cheaply. And I was able to apply for grants from the government to pay for my college, but I still had to work full-time. And I used to look at those people who had beautiful clothes, brand new cars, and, they just lived a wonderful life. They lived at home and didn't have to pay anything. At home they were provided with a room, a very large, comfortable room. And I used to look at them and say, wow, look at them. Those people are really blessed. I wish I could be blessed like that. But here's the funny part about it, okay? A lot of those people, there came a point at which they had everything going for them to go to school and to complete their education. They would decide they weren't really interested and they would leave university. And me, I have to struggle for every little thing. Everything was a struggle, but I never left until I graduated. And that has taught me a very important lesson in life. There are those of you who are here who I look at the channel like Mama Ann's family, In less than a week, she has like a couple. In less than a few weeks, she has over 2,000 followers. And I look at some of these other channels that grow very, very quickly. And, you know, my channel, I'm still struggling. You know, but my point of view is this. There are a lot of people who look at me, look down at me, maybe even laugh. You know, maybe see me and they, you know, they call me names and everything, old man, and you know, all of this stuff. In my attitude is, I'm an old man. I've been blessed. I have lived to be old. But I'll tell you one thing I have that a lot of you don't have. I know how to be strong and to last when other people give up. You know, it's like I know how to hang in there and continue to be strong. When I remember, and in life, I have seen that happen so many times. There are people who are, everybody's behind them. They have a lot of supporters. And before you know it, they give up. When I converted to Judaism, they required of us to take a language course and learn how to speak in Hebrew. And I remember it was very frightening for me to take that class. It involved going to a part of town in which people who look like me, black people, you don't see any of them. And people get arrested by the police for just being in that neighborhood. They'll pull you over. They'll ask you what you're doing there. They'll find some reason to arrest you or to give you a traffic ticket or whatever. It was not a pleasant experience going up there. And I remember every single time that I would have to go to a class, I would go to classes at night. I would go into that neighborhood with fear. You know, but I'll tell you something that happened that was very, very interesting. When I first started going to that class, you know, there were about 30 people. 30 people. And they were all so happy. They were spiritually exalted. They were going to serve God. They were going to convert. And oh, it was wonderful. And all of them were like, hallelujah. And, you know, and me, I looked around the room at all of those people. 30 doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. I looked at all of those people. And I remembered what it was like in the first semesters of college when you had all these people who their families were giving them everything to, you know, go to school, and they didn't need a place to live. They either had apartments that their families paid for. And after one semester, a lot of those people gave up and quit. You know, and I saw those people. I looked around the room and I saw all of them. And I looked in their faces and I said to myself, how many of these people have enough courage and strength to last learning this? Because, Familia Angu, learning Hebrew is not easy. Hebrew is a challenging language. And I was already in my 50s. As you get older, it becomes progressively harder to learn languages. But there are no walls inside of my brain. Allah Akbar. There are no walls inside of my heart. If I decide that I'm going to do something, I realize that I may have to suffer, but I'll do it. And I asked myself a question looking around the room at all of those people. How many of these people are going to be here? And I started looking very carefully because I knew what was going to happen. First week, we had like 30 people. Second week, 25. Third week, you know, we had like 12 people left. When they realized that it wasn't all praising God and it wasn't all, you know, hallelujah and everything, they had to do some really hard work. They just started falling off like flies. There was a young guy who, man was being given everything. The family whose house we were going to for classes, they were giving him free space to live in during Fridays and on Saturday and during holy days, and they were doing so much for him. And he told me all about what they were doing for him. And I said, I'm very happy for you. And he looked at me kind of strangely. In no time at all, he dropped out. He disappeared. And I'll tell you something funny. By the end of the class, the last few weeks of the class, there was me and there was a lady, a Mexican young lady who was very intelligent. And she had a husband who belonged to that synagogue, and she was trying to convert because he was going to marry him. And I called her. I identified her as the person who would last the longest, besides me. And I told her, listen, let me tell you something. I know that this is difficult. I know that it is challenging. All of these people that you see around you are probably going to quit. Don't you quit. And she goes, why do you care if I quit or not? I told her, because I'm afraid that if the teacher only has a male student, she will cancel the class altogether. And no matter what, I will complete this class. I told her, listen, if you find that the work is too hard for you, come call me. I'll get together with you. I will tutor you. I'll help you. Just don't quit. I don't want this class to end. I have to complete this class. And she told me, I feel the same way. Don't worry. I'm not going to quit. And a couple of times I did get together with her and I helped her. And in the end, we managed to complete the class. And we managed to take a class to at another level after that class was over. My point is this, okay? I'm not a fortunate man. I shouldn't say this, but I'm saying the truth. Nothing in my life comes easy. I'm not the kind of man who is blessed with a large number of subscribers. I'm not the kind of man who is blessed with a loving family. I'm not the kind of man who is blessed with friends who really love me and care about me. I'm not blessed with any of that. Everything in my life is a struggle. Everything in my life is fighting. But this is how I've lived most of my life. And inshallah, in the presence of Allah, alhamdulillah, I vow in the name of Allah that I won't give up. I feel a little bit sad. I feel a little bit, I don't know. I feel discouraged. But I have felt discouraged so many times in my life. If you only knew the suffering I had to go through to complete college. If you only knew the suffering I had to go through to complete law school. I remember one time in college, I was literally dying of starvation, but I wouldn't quit. And a counselor brought me in and told me, maybe you should quit for a while and come back later on. And I told him, you don't know, Ramoncito. If I have to die, I'll die trying, but I will not give up. And there came a point after that in which he ended up losing his job. I did not quit, and I managed to complete school. And the same thing in law school. I sacrificed an awful lot. And you want to know something? What did I get out of all of that sacrifice? I accomplished my goal, but did I become rich or powerful or whatever? No. But that wasn't the point, was it? The point was that I set out to complete something, and I completed it. So if you're out there and you're watching this video, and you want to support me by subscribing to my channel, that's good. If you don't, it's in the hands of Allah anyway. And I will stick to this. I will do Allah's will, and I won't be deterred from my purpose. So for me, nothing in life has ever been easy. Asante Asana, if you have bothered watching, the video this long, and I wish all of you well. Go ahead.